Teclo Garcia, CEO of the Mission Economic Development Corporation.
Teclo, let's start off by let me ask you, what does the Economic Development Corporation do?
Well, like most economic development corporations around the state, we are charged with creating opportunities for investment, job creation, and enhancing the workforce here in Mission.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know you were at the EDC before, but you've had some very important governmental jobs in McAllen, Mission, and Laredo.
Yes, correct, Steve. After spending some time in newspapers, I was awarded the job of Director of Government Affairs for the city of McAllen, where I was there almost 8 years. Then I came here to the Mission EDC, where I was Director of External Affairs and Communications. Went to Laredo from 2019 through 2022. Almost 3 years, where I was Director of Economic Development for the city of Laredo, working at City Hall. And then I did some consulting for a little while, and this job opened up, and here I am.
And you're coming back now to the Mission EDC after being leaving for a few years. What have you come back to? What's the state of the EDC right now?
Well, Mission is on the cusp of doing some really great things. As you know, you were there at the expansion of the Anzalduas Bridge opening, the groundbreaking. That's
for the expansion,
which will make it a full-on commercial bridge, which really will enhance our opportunities for international trade and investment here in Mission. We're also bringing a lot of retail to the city, some exciting new stores that are going to be in Mission, some that you've seen around the valley, some that you haven't. We've got some new brands coming in. We're also expanding very quickly on the single-family home front. The Esperanza homes and especially on the southern end of the city, where you're seeing hundreds of new homes. And just yesterday at the EDC, the Mission City Council meeting, there was about 268 new homes approved, right? Plotted and approved just yesterday. So we're moving at a very quick pace. That will include more rooftops, which in turn usually turns into more retail activity and generate more sales tax and expands our tax base. So really, all these things are very positive. One thing we have to be cognizant of, Steve, here in Mission is not to miss these opportunities. With the bridge being expanded into a full commercial, situation there, a facility, along with the residential growth and retail we have coming in, we have to capitalize on those and allow those to happen as best we can, so investing can move the city forward.
Going back then to the housing that you just mentioned, the fact that all these house builders want to build here in Mission, that must tell us there's tremendous demand for people to be here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think we're unique in the valley. I mean, you've seen tremendous growth in McAllen, in Edinburgh, obviously, Westlaco, all Brownsville with all the activity they have going on. But Mission's right in that group as well, and so I mean, there's good school districts in Mission. There's a lot of opportunity, a natural connection to Mexico, and also being close to the center of the county, where facilities or things like UTRGV and McAllen are not far away. So there's a lot of folks that are choosing choosing Mission with their investment.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask, because of the time you spent in Laredo working for the city, but focusing on economic development for that city, we all think of Laredo, it's just everything about Laredo is international trade and logistics, warehousing. They've had the biggest inland port in the United States. What you learned there, how was that experience you had in Laredo, how is that going to help you with what you're going to be doing here in Mission?
Yeah, no, a great question, Steve. Laredo does do a lot of international trade. What a lot of folks don't know is that there's 4 bridges, vehicle bridges in Laredo, and 1 rail bridge, and then the airport does a tremendous amount of international trade. They probably do 80 flight operations a day, sometimes up to 100 a day in terms of cargo flights, right? But Laredo does more trade than all other ports from Brownsville to Yuma, Arizona combined. So you can put FAR and Brownsville and El Paso Del Rio, Yuma, New Mexico, all those together still don't amount to what Laredo does in one day. And just to give you just another idea, they do about $80 billion more in trade than the Port of Houston does on an annual basis. Right? Everybody thinks Houston is such a huge port. Well, Laredo has it beat by miles. Right? What I took from there was understanding how that worked in Laredo and the importance of establishing relationships in Mexico that sort of vaulted that international trade and commerce forward, not just for Mexican companies, but U.S. companies that do business in Mexico, or international companies who do business in Mexico. I'll give you an example. Is John Deere runs a huge operation in Saltillo. They use the Laredo bridges to move most all their product into the United States from Mexico. Lego, which you know very well, is a European-based company. I think they're Danish, but they have 3 centers of manufacturing around the world. One of them is in Monterrey, and they have a campus with 6,600 employees, right? And they move all their Legos into the United States through Laredo, so by truck. Guadalajara moves 80% of their vodka into the United States through Laredo. So establishing those relationships, understanding the trade routes, understanding what's important to the client, which is expediency, which is capacity, and understanding how we can facilitate that. Bringing that to Mission with our bridge being expanded is really going to be important for us, so we can leverage this opportunity and not let it slip away.
Mm-hmm. When I think of industry here in Mission, I think of the Killam development. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of land that they're developing down there, a new industrial park close to the Anzalduas Bridge. What can you tell us about that project?
Well, that project, which you may have already reported on, it's about 175 acres. And what we're being told is that about 60% of that has been pre-leased already. Now they're moving dirt on it. They're installing infrastructure, water and sewer lines, etc. So we're very proud to be working with the Killams. I worked with the Killams in Laredo in establishing a huge tourist district and developments in Laredo. So it's good to be here and working with them again. They're model corporate citizens. They care about the environment. They do what's right for the community, and we're super glad to be working with them. But there's a lot going on in that whole area. I always see a lot there. A lot of there is theirs, but our business park is nearly sold out. Mission's business park. We have more development along the expressway, so we're moving at a rapid pace.
It must be difficult for you to plan just how much land and warehousing and manufacturing space you're going to need, given that it's going to be all brand new. Once that Anzalduas Bridge opens up and you've got fully loaded cargo trucks coming in, I mean, it must be just so difficult to say, well, what percentage of growth is this going to mean?
Yeah, no, it is, and so we have to. When I talked about earlier about not letting this opportunity slip by, we have to be cognizant of understanding what traffic is going to come through, right? What industries want to use this bridge, and what's their destination? Is it a situation where they're dropping off cargo and going back across, and a long haul picks it up from here and takes it to DFW? We have to understand traffic patterns, manufacturing patterns. We have to understand, how to work closely with our federal partners, because they're going to be running the inspection stations, with our local law enforcement. So we have to manage all those sort of issues in order to take advantage of this situation, maximize our opportunities for investment. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one, because I know you're brand new to this position, but previously at the city level here in Mission, with the previous Mayor Ocaña, one of his top projects was to get that international rail bridge going at Madero. I know there were some city council members that didn't like the speed at which he was moving on that. Is that the city has got the presidential permit to go ahead with it, but Is that something that could happen in the coming years?
Yeah, it definitely could happen in the coming years. I know that any sort of crossing for the valley, whether it be Mission or elsewhere, is very valuable. So we have to guard that opportunity. However, for the very near future, we have to take this one at a time, and certainly with the Anzalduas expanding and maybe finishing up in 18 months to 2 years, we want to be ready for this one for sure.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier retail. Tell us about the exciting projects that are on the horizon there.
Oh, for sure. One I'm really excited about is the redevelopment of the Kmart site that we have on the expressway here on Bryan Road. That's going to turn into a multi-store, multi-pad site facility that we were just talking to the developers yesterday about. So we're really happy about that, and that should get going here in the next couple of months, right? And then the stores would be announced. We're also working to fill out the spots in front of the Mission Event Center. We have a lot of land there. I can tell you that there's two major brand hotels that are coming there. One or both of them have about 110 rooms, is what the developer has told us already. One's going to be a Hilton property, another one can be a Marriott property. And then there's other stores that are close to opening in Mission, including some coffee places, some sandwich national chains of this nature. And of course, Mission has always been big on small business, certainly with Alex here and Daniel, and that was always been the case with our Ruby Red competition. So we continue to support the small businesses here in Mission and work with them. And we're looking forward to having another Ruby Red competition in 2023, which will be awarding prize money and so forth for the winners.
Mm-hmm. Now, does the revitalization of downtown, does that involve the EDC? Are you part of that, or is that the city? Because I've always heard concerns from Mission residents; they want that spruced up.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. No. The mayor and the council and our board are all very interested in downtown, and obviously so are we. Right, and that is one of the roles that the EDC has, and we have two downtown programs which they've been dormant a little bit because of COVID and so forth. But in 2023, we're going to relaunch those, which is our downtown facade improvement program, and then also another rental assistance program to bring businesses into downtown. We're going to tweak things a little bit. I think we've been pretty narrow in the scope of where those programs can be, like just on Conway, so we're going to look at how we can stretch that out a little bit and impact more businesses. But yes, the core of Mission is really, really important to us. It's important to Mission citizens and our elected leadership. So yeah, we'll be doing a lot more there for sure.
Well, with all the news that you've given us here, and I thank you for that today, Teclo, I can only imagine when we think about housing and retail and industrial commercial, the residents of Mission, if they don't know it already, they're going to be in for quite a pleasant surprise. Just how much you've got going on at the moment.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I stepped in here at a great time. Honestly, Mission's on the cusp of doing some great things, but they've been doing some great things. I mean, you look at their development and the number of investment that we have in Mission. I mean, it is surprising. Often Mission is thought of as a quieter town. It's a commuter city or a bedroom community to McAllen. And while some of that is true, we do have some great neighborhoods where often folks go work in Edinburgh or McAllen, but we do have a very vibrant, community and Mission that's beginning to come into its own in terms of its entertainment and dining opportunities and things to do. I mean, we have a lot of stuff here in Mission. I mean, we have a state park in Mission. Right, we have the World Birding Headquarters in Mission. Right, we have the National Butterfly Center in Mission. We've got several other really
neat Veterans Center.
Yeah, the State Veterans Cemetery, which I was at this past week, was just a beautiful event. So we have a lot of assets here in Mission that we can use and leverage as citizens and Mission, for sure.
But if anyone thinks that Mission is a sleepy suburb of McAllen, once that Anzalduas Bridge
Oh,
opens
man.
up, there's going to be so much happening.
Yeah, yeah, and you're exactly right, Steve. I mean, that's the key. Bridges alone are not enough to create a ton of investment and opportunity. The folks around there, the leadership, like our board, the Mission EDC board, the Mission City Council, the McAllen City Council, and the Bridge Board. If you don't have that sort of leadership that understands the opportunities, you can build a bridge and nothing's going to happen. But I think that we're all on the same page. We understand. I know Mayor Garza is on it. Our city manager understands it. So we're really going to work hard to make sure this is a success, and we'll work with the Killam's and or other developers to try to make sure that we bring in the right companies and create jobs, good paying jobs that can help the residents of Mission and the area.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
I know that you've always been someone that thinks regionally as well.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us how much you're looking forward to working with your counterparts, not just in the Upper Valley, but throughout the whole valley.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, being an old timer now, Steve. The Gray and getting to know all the faces and players here, and not just here, but in Laredo as well, and San Antonio. We understand now who the players are and what we do. We have Corey in Brownsville and the judge in Cameron County, right? Judge Eddie, and then of course Judge Richard here in Hidalgo County. The partnership with Daniel Silva there, and a bunch of other regional and local players. I'm currently right now working with Keith Patridge for the McAllen EDC on a project. I know Luis Passan very well and far. Yeah, there's a spirit of competition there, but we all know each other, and we know that the best thing to do is do the best thing for the region. So I look forward to working with all these players, from Sam Vale and Rose out in Rio Grande, which they both send me congratulations notes, when I took the job, to the folks in Brownsville. We have to compete as a region. Steve, you understand this from your sort of more of a world perspective. We're not competing against each other here. We're competing against other regions. This region competes against, the DFW or Monterrey, and sometimes we compete as a state. We compete against other states, right? So definitely looking forward to, to the regional aspect of things, and working with TxDOT and Andrew Cannon and all these other folks that have regional perspectives, right? Extremely important that we compete as a region.
Mm-hmm. Well, Teclo, thank you so much. Is there anything I've missed? Anything else you'd like to say?
No, just thank you, Steve, for putting a spotlight on Mission. This is not about me. It's about the city. It's about the EDC. We want to create jobs for people. We want to do three things. I've been saying this from the get-go. We want to create opportunities for investment. We want to create jobs, and we want to enhance their workforce. There's things that will offshoot from there: small business, international trade. But those are our pillars that we're going to work from. And I think when we stick to those things, a lot of things good will happen. And we've got great leadership here, so we'll keep working it.
Teclo Garcia, Mission Economic Development Corporation, thank you so much for today's interview.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Steve, for all your work.